The city of Yffrin. Truly an impressive sight. One can only imagine the treasures and secrets hidden in a place such as this. Of course, there are also likely still guardians or traps as well. I'll certainly still need to be very careful. Then of course there's the problem of Vellynne and her little crew. The half-orc has certainly disappointed me. I thought he was the sort who had ambition, but seems he really is just content to follow around after that priest like some sort of pet. The priest was always going to be an obstacle. His sort are always blinded by doctrine. Even the knowledge that his little pile of wood is still only standing because of the foresight of an archdevil will not make him see that the world is not as black and white as he thinks it is. Damn you, Vellynne. If only you could have just stayed back in the host tower and let the ones with actual talent take what is rightfully theirs. They are definitely going to try something as we try and get into the High Court. I'll be ready. I don't really care what the host tower wants. Oh, I don't even really care what Levistius wants. I need that book. We're so close now. So close, sister. You will get what you deserve. I promise. This is Red Moon role-playing. Roshik, you open the double doors before you that lead further into the great High Court of Yffrin, and are greeted by a very strange sight. Although perhaps it's not the strangeness of the sight that you first notice, but the strangeness of what you can hear. Beautiful music washes over you. You're not quite sure what the tune is. It sounds like some sort of string instrument, but not a string instrument you're familiar with. In contrast to the desolate frozen ruins you have seen outside, before you is a great ballroom with a dozen people milling around, dressed in flowing silk garments and holding colourful masks and feathered fans. They are very strange clothes, like orange and blue and purple, a myriad of colours, and in a fashion you are not quite familiar with. Everyone is laughing and gossiping in this beautiful ballroom where strange little lights float around above your head.
Is anyone noticing us?
Yes, 2 individuals come forward armed with spears and just hold them gently at attention. They are very strange looking individuals. They are armoured in armour, that much you can tell, but when you look at them, they look very strange. Their skin seems to be a bright blue, glowing almost like an emerald or a light would glow. They have solid black eyes, and they stare at you with emotionless faces, as they simply say something in a language you don't understand, quite gently.
I look back at Vellynne, trying to not to take my complete attention from these armed guards.
Vellynne moves forward quickly, looking at Roman, clearly a little confused. Roman, you see this as well, that it is definitely a very confusing sight. But Vellynne mutters under her breath, "Wait, I think they're speaking Loris. Hang on a minute, Professor Scant. Translate. She does something with Professor Scant, drawing him out of her robes. And a strange aura, you notice, Roman, comes over you all, as Professor Scant says, "Of course. Activating translation aura. Don't worry, you'll be able to understand everyone now." Roshik, you notice the guards repeat their sentence, but this time you understand it in common. "Welcome to the great spire of Irelafius. Are you expected today?"
Yes, we are expected.
The beings look at you, and then simply step aside, almost as if they were on some sort of string, like a puppet, and then they simply stand still as statues.
Thank you. And then I look and I see these guests milling about, dancing, having fun. Are these things, I say, alive?
I don't know. Vellynne is looking around very curiously. One of the beings, a woman you think, comes over and gently places a hand on your shoulder. Oh my goodness, aren't you wearing strange clothing? How fascinating. Where did you purchase it?
In the 10 Towns. Have you ever been?
No, is that a new shop in the business district?
What are you up to on this occasion?
Oh, well, we're all discussing who's going to win at the next chain lightning game. My favourite is Avaros. He is most dashing when he commits to chain lightning. Don't you agree? And a gentleman then comes over, quite a large gentleman. Yes, indeed, Avaros. Splendid. I'm definitely going to be putting my money on him winning the championship this year.
When is the competition?
Oh, why, it's 10 days from now.
It's going to be a grand one.
It is indeed. And the individuals laugh and return to their dancing and their eating.
Irelathius. I'm guessing this must be the Archlich.
Yes, that's the name of the Archlich, Irelathius, yes.
Now where do we go? Are we looking for a library?
I don't know. Be careful. There is magic in the air. This is not correct.
Do you think we're in another illusion?
Yes, but it's not completely an illusion. Parts of it are real. What should we do? She looks at you, Roman.
We must try to find what we're looking for. I mean, it must be here somewhere. Perhaps we can go along with the illusion. Perhaps that will show us something.
The great ballroom, by the way, does seem to have other rooms leading off. There is what looks like quite an important-looking door, straight northwards, and then to the east and west there are more chambers with people milling around, dancing, laughing, playing music. There also seem to be 3 individuals seated at chairs, which have quite a few people around them. They seem to be wearing even fancier clothing.
Suppose we could ask our way forward so we could just see what goes through the main doors.
Yes. Well, I am curious, aren't you?
I am.
Roman, what do you do?
No. The big doors. They are beckoning.
You just walk towards them?
I try, if no one's going to stop me.
You will begin walking to these doors, but as you do, a gentleman will just sort of stand in your way for a moment. Oh, dear me, boy, what are you doing going that way? The party's over here!
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry, I must have gotten lost.
Yes. Now that way leads upstairs, and you know how the High Mage is. He gets awfully angry when he gets interrupted.
Oh, yes, they do, don't they? And I look to Vellynne. What do you think?
Vellynne looks around and then just begins trying to open the doors. They begin opening. This figure huffs a little at you. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Dear me, going up there without appointment. I hope you don't fall for the, you know. Oh, that would be amusing.
Yeah, it would be. I can't wait.
I just dab my forehead and look at this odd fellow going on. Then, as she opens the doors, right away, let's see what is actually going on up there.
Yes, let's.
You open the doors. They open. They lead to a hallway. Do you continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
The music dies down behind you. Looking down at the floor, suddenly you notice a change. No longer is it shiny and polished. It is old and brittle, covered in dust and frost. You look behind you and you can still see a happy party just behind you.
Seems contained to that area. If it were an illusion or some sort of puppetry.
I'm not entirely sure. Let's just be careful. Vellynne moves forwards and then stops. Before you is a great black void. And just beyond that great black void, there seems to be a chamber. And you look down into what looks like an endless black pit. And then shortly beyond that back pit, about maybe 30 feet, the floor continues.
How interesting. I could move past this. What about you?
Well, I would find it rather difficult. Wait, there must be something here. Have a look. Roman, what do you do?
I begin looking around, seeing if I can find some way of making the passage safe.
You can't see anything. It simply seems to be a hallway, and then the hallway leads into the pit, and then continues. There's no switches, no buttons to press.
Is there some kind of magic going on here? Anything that could be dispelled, or is it truly just a hole?
I don't know. I conjure forth a longbow, since I am able to do so because of my specific eldritch invocations. And an arrow materializes on it, and I try firing it at the floor.
Where do you fire it?
Into the void floor.
Do you fire it to the side, to the left, to the middle?
Well, I start in the middle.
You fire your arrow into the floor, and it stops. Straight in the void, just stops, hits something.
And then I reach out with the bow and I poke that place.
You feel, in the void, a solid surface.
I try to carefully take a step out.
You take a step out into the void, and then feel your foot hit a surface, even though you appear to be standing in a void.
I change the longbow into a quarterstaff, and I start feeling my way ahead.
And as you do so, you seem to be finding that there is indeed a pathway straight before you. Roman, Roshik is now in the middle of a void, standing on nothing, but he seems to be safe.
You figured it out. Impressive.
Well, let's see if it leads all the way, I say as I slowly move across, trying to make sure that I will actually be able to walk on whatever comes.
Vellynne begins following behind and collects something from her cloak. It was that pouch she had earlier full of dust. Corpse dust. She quickly starts sprinkling a little, and you notice it does seem to make the pathway easier to see.
Very smart. Alright, let's keep going.
You continue onwards across this invisible bridge, and finally arrive in the chamber on the other side. This is a great chamber of mirrored surfaces. You immediately notice your reflections. However, unlike the previous mirrored cave you were in, this is deliberate, skillfully made. This room has 11 alcoves extending from the walls like points of a star, each one narrowing to a niche where a gently glowing crystal is mounted 5 feet above the floor. The air seems to hum with some sort of noise. In this lovely star-shaped chamber, you also notice in the middle is a spiral staircase going upwards.
These crystals, are these the mythalars?
Oh, Roshik, are you going to say every single thing you see is a mythalar? Yes, that's right, these tiny little glowing crystals are the mythalar. Go and grab one, would you? My goodness.
How would I know what they look like? I try to reach out with a mage hand and see if what happens if I touch them with that.
As you move your mage hand towards one of the crystals, a sudden little energy burst bats it away. The crystals all start glowing. From them, weird rays of electricity or light start converging on a spot in the center of the room. And then suddenly, an image appears of a man. A sort of little bald man wearing a long purple gown with a long white beard. He says, "Oh, goodness me, please would you not interfere with the crystals? Welcome, though, welcome, my goodness, people. Oh, wonderful, hello."
Hello there. You might be the Archlich?
Oh, goodness me, no, of course not. No, I'm Everlast the Construct. Good day, my goodness, it's been exactly... Whoa, how many days? 1,000 years, I think. Yes, I give or take the calculation, since I've seen someone. Hello, good evening. Goodness me, who are you?
Good evening. Well, I am Roshik.
Oh, delightful. And yourself? Priest of something?
Oh, Dawnbringer Roman, priest of Lathander.
Oh, wonderful. And who's that?
I look at Vellynne.
Vellynne looks at you, just shrugging.
What exactly is the purpose of these crystals?
Oh, well, they're me, so if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you didn't remove them. Otherwise, you might cause me to cease existing, which, I kind of enjoy existing, most of the time. It's a bit boring.
What is your purpose here?
Oh, well, naturally, my purpose, as cited by the Archlich himself, is to assist in the city's restoration and to not reveal any of the city's secrets to outsiders. Oh dear, are you outsiders?
No.
Oh, I have a feeling you're lying. Sorry about that. Don't worry, we can still speak. I just can't tell you any of the secrets. You understand?
Yes, of course.
Pity, though. Are you not here as a rescue party? Have the other cities finally come? It's taken them quite some time. 1,000 years is quite long.
We've indeed come here to help, to see what there is left of the city. It seems like most of its inhabitants have perished.
Oh, yes, no. I probably think about 80% of the population perished on the initial landing, and then the other 20% have had various things occur to them. 50% have the contagion, like you do yourself right now, I can see.
And this contagion, I say, feeling a bit unsettled. Is that what turns people into these green-eyed things?
Oh yes, the Nothics we call them. Yes, quite awful really. You really want to get that checked out soon, I'm afraid. The process will be irreversible if you allow it to continue to its natural conclusion.
And how exactly long would that take?
It depends on your constitution.
Oh. I see.
Vellynne is blinking quite alarmed and looking at you, Roman, as she mutters, "What's it talking about, a contagion? What?
You were sick, weren't you?
Yes, I was a bit unwell, but, well, you cleared that up. It wasn't that bad, though. What does it mean?
It seems like it could be quite bad.
Oh, yes, terrible, really. Most of the remaining populace, if they didn't starve to death, kill each other, were eventually killed and transformed into the Nothics. Quite a nuisance, really. However, I'm pretty sure that if a bit of reasoning and, of course, a rescue party or 20, they will be cleared out in time, and maybe if we find a way of containing the cause of the contagion, that would also greatly help in restoring.
I was under the impression that as they assaulted some other people that came here, they were somehow controlled by something, they were at least in great... They were working somehow organized.
Well, of course, they're not completely mindless. They're just very hungry, you understand. They don't get to eat much.
Well, does anyone control them?
Well, they still obey the Archlich, of course.
Oh. And is the Archlich around here?
Oh, yes, of course. He's upstairs.
What is he doing these days?
Not a lot, unfortunately. His mental capacity has greatly diminished, so his orders have become less and less. He was very motivated at the start, naturally, but 1,000 years have passed, and sadly he doesn't seem quite as motivated anymore in assisting in the city's restoration projects.
I see. I look at Roman at this.
Interesting. Well, I suppose we know where we need to go.
Mind if we do pay him a visit?
Well, if he has an appointment and you're part of the appointment, that's absolutely fine. If not, I would please ask you not to. He'll be rather unhappy if you disturb him.
Oh, but I'm sure he's expecting us.
Is he? You don't seem very convinced on that.
I'm sure he is.
Well, if you're sure, I guess that's good then. But again, if not, please do not disturb him. It would be most unpleasant for him.
Right. We shall try and be on about our business as quickly as possible. Unless my friends here want to ask anything else.
Oh, please ask anything. Anything at all. I am very bored. Please, do you have to go straight away? I haven't really had a conversation for, maybe 500 years? 600? I'm not sure. I'd love to tell you about the city's restoration projects.
What can you tell us about the Mythalar?
Oh, the Miffler? Well, currently a little bit erratic, of course, but it does seem to have had power restored on a temporary basis at least. Yes. But I'm pretty sure with the correct amount of skilled wizards and, of course, the effort, not to mention, of course, making it exit, the city's floating operational status could be back on track in, maybe just a few years.
If the Mythalar would have to be taken out for maintenance, let's say, what would be the best way to do something like that?
Naturally. Well, first of all, of course, your 20 wizards or so would need to arrange their barrier spells, followed, of course, by movement spells, making sure, of course, it is moved in the correct manner into the correct container area. You don't want the whole thing to explode on you. That could be disastrous. But if you follow the correct procedures, then indeed, yes, you might be able to move it.
But only short distances, yes. The point is that this is the place where its power can really be utilized, but it can be utilized outside of the city as well, right? It can reach very far. It's a very powerful piece of machinery, right?
Well, indeed, but it wouldn't be operating at maximum efficiency, you understand.
No, of course not.
Unless, of course, you began construction of an additional power pylon, and that with then the additional power procedures, and of course the engineering that will be required. Okay, no, actually, I think 6 months. 6 months you could do it. Again, you're going to need some very skilled artisans.
Vellynne, does this make sense to you?
No, obviously it doesn't realise what's going on, does it? But we don't need to move the Miffler. We can just use it here, maybe.
Yes, I suppose that's the only way to do it, huh? Well, thank you. I think we have learned what we need to learn, right, Roshik? It's about time for that meeting now.
Oh dear, you have to go so soon. Oh.
As they speak, it occurs to me that we really have no idea how we would use this Mythalar if we were actually able to get our hands on it. So I feel a bit skeptical as this conversation proceeds, but as Roman turns his attention to me, I just nod and say, we'll be seeing you later, I'm sure. Ever last.
Oh, yes, please do. Again, I have all the time in the world, literally, until the city is restored.
Until then.
The figure sighs a little as you start leaving. Where do you leave to?
To the office of the Archlich.
I suppose it's up the stairs.
That is the only exit of the room.
That is where we go, then.
You begin making your way up the crystal spiral staircase. And you emerge in a chamber above. You must have now gone up another floor. It occurs to you you're not entirely sure where you are in line of the rest of the city, but if you remember, this great building in the center did tower everything else, so you must now be quite high up, you think to yourself. You come to a wall. There are 8 doors, each marked with a different arcane symbol. And on the wall above them is etched something in Draconic. Once again, no one can understand it except you, Roshik. The letters swirl into common and simply say, "Speak thy master's name," and enter.
Does it say the same on all doors?
There is only one inscription.
But many doors.
8 doors, each one with a symbol of magic. At this point, you would all be familiar with the 8 schools of magic symbols.
Speak thy master's name and enter, I say as I read this.
Vellynne steps forward and begins humming to herself. Okay, we should be careful here. This clearly is some sort of... If you were supposed to be here, you'd know what to do, so we need to be careful.
Right. So, it's the... Wait. There wasn't a name on that wand, was there?
Vellynne looks to you, Roman.
I look at the wand.
Yes, you can't read it right now, but you remember. Vellynne told you. High Illusionist Ajimar.
High Illusionist Ajimar.
Well then, why don't you go up to the illusion school and say that name?
Alright. I do just that then. I walk up with a wand and I say, High Illusionist Ajimar.
the door swings open, leading into darkness.
Guess that worked. Alright then.
Alright then, I say, and I look at you as you're standing there in front of it.
And I walk inside.
You begin walking into the darkness, and you move through a corridor made of darkness. It's unsettling, Roman. For a moment you feel as if something here is watching you, but what do? You think you can see something at the end of the corridor.
I whisper a prayer to Lathander to help light up the darkness. But I just continue walking.
Your light spell has no effect here, it seems, but that's okay. You continue walking, and eventually you reach the end. Roshik, the door slowly closes behind Roman, and Roman is now gone, and you are there in this room. What do?
Vellynne?
Alright then. Hi, illusionist Ajima! The door swings open, and she then steps through. It then closes after her, leaving just you now alone, Roshik.
I look around me. I suppose there's nothing else to it. It's the only one we know. Feeling somewhat content with myself that I figured this out, but at the same time, nervous about what they're planning for me. I saw them whispering together. I go up to the door. Hi, illusionist Ajima.
The door swings open, and finally you enter this dark corridor. Roman, the corridor ends at a door. What do?
I move up to the door, try to open it.
It opens and leads into a great chamber.
I do, and I stand there having entered it, waiting for my friends to arrive.
The chamber before you is very interesting. A vortex of glowing stars hangs in the air inside this chamber, slowly rotating on an axis in the center of the chamber. As the constellations move, they cast radiant starlight across the walls. Surrounding this marvel are 8 high-backed chairs, each bearing a different arcane symbol. The chamber, also beyond this starry constellation, leads to a great pair of double doors once again. What do, Roman? It seems you're here by yourself for a few seconds at least.
I move up to the high chairs and I study them as I wait for the others.
Fascinating. Each one again has this symbol. The one of necromancy, the one of illusion. 8 of them. Interesting. You also notice that there are some side chambers, one to the left and one to the right, but you can't quite see what's in them just yet.
I wait then.
And finally you are joined by Vellynne and Roshik. You too, Roshik, arrive in this room with these 8 chairs around this magnificent, glowing view of the stars just floating in the air. There are also chambers to left and right, and some great double doors directly in front of you. Vellynne is looking around very intrigued. What do, Roshik?
Quite the meeting place, I say. Then I start looking into these smaller side rooms.
One is closed. That's the one to the right, but the one to the left looks like it leads into some great library. Yes, you can see shelves full of books, although you immediately notice that the books have been thrown into disarray. They are not neatly lined up on shelves. Most of them actually are sprawled out on the ground. Many look like they've already rotted away.
Seems to be a library in here, I say, and I move in there to have a look around.
Again, the walls of this roughly triangular room are filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, but time and bitter cold have not been kind to them. But there's hundreds, maybe thousands of bits of paper in here, or old books, scrolls. It's all a massive mess, though.
Trying to see if there's anything that's still in shape.
Roll me a perception check.
16.
You begin moving through the bookshelves. You pick up a book, it falls to pieces in your hand. But then you do notice there is a little desk, and there does seem to have been a piece of paper, and something was written on it. Again, the language is not common, but swirls until it is common. It looks like it says something like, "Really need to inform the Archmage that his current method of accepting appointments is rather inconvenient, requiring one of us of the schools to sit and wait before he then even deems to speak to us. Unacceptable. There really should be an easier way to his private study, but I understand he does need his security."
Interesting. I stand leaning over that desk, reading this as I have been going through the library for a little bit of time.
There's another page as well, but the words are a bit blurred. Something about really need to look into the containment area. Must make sure it's secure. The others say I'm being paranoid, but I don't think I'm being paranoid enough.
Containment area? And then I keep looking through the rest of the library for a while, just seeing if there's anything else that's salvageable.
Not really. Although you do suddenly find what looks like a large adamantine key in a sort of desk drawer. Interesting. Definitely a key of some kind, you think to yourself. Roman, what are you doing? Roshik has gone to the left and seems to be rummaging around through an old library. But what are you doing?
I follow him, seeing that he moves in that direction. Trying to look around as well. The library does seem interesting.
Yes, and you too will come across these words, although you can't read them. But if you ask Roshik, hopefully he'll tell you what it says. And again, nothing but dusty tomes and old paper. This place has not been kept well.
I cannot read any of it.
It's just an instruction of how to meet with the Archlich. Well, rather, there's a complaint about how unreasonable it is that one should just sit as a representative of one's school of magic and then wait for him to appear. So, if you go out there and sit patiently and pretend to be your high illusionist, then maybe those doors will suddenly swing open and you'll have an audience with the Archlich himself, I say as I distractedly rummage through some books on the shelves and holding that adamantine key in the other hand.
Interesting. Where's Vellynne?
Vellynne pokes her head into the library, saying, "Well, what have you found? Anything?" "The doorways seem locked. The ones at the front are locked, as is that other place. I tried not to look at the stars. They look a bit strange. The 8 chairs. Anything in here? I can't see anywhere else we can go."
Seems like we're supposed to wait in the chairs for an audience with the Lich.
Wait in the chairs? What do you mean? Which ones? Is it some sort of spell?
Well, the ones in the room there. Not quite sure, but perhaps that's how the Lich is called.
Is that something we want to do? We might need to risk it. I'm a little worried that the construct downstairs spoke of the High Mage as if he was still present.
He probably is, just in a different form now.
Yes, and out of his mind.
That's not good. Well, what should we do?
You think you can convince an Archlich that, well, hand over the things that you're looking for or give you information about them, or is this something that we might have to smite all else?
We need to be very, very careful if we're dealing with what we could be dealing with, but it seems we need to find a way of getting to him first, though. Sit in a chair. Well, maybe I could sit in a chair?
Would you know if his mere existence is linked to the city still working?
Well, I don't know. No, if he was well, okay, purely theoretical, they were all liches. You know how liches work. They are powered by phylacteries. Theoretically, they exist forever.
Right, I say, as I shrug and give up the rest of this room and start heading over to this other door that she says was locked, and sort of slapping the adamantine key in my hand. Some sort of holding chamber, I say to myself.
Yes, and you stand before the door with this key. There does seem to be a keyhole.
Curious. I try and fit the key in it.
It fits in.
Let's see, then, I say, and I wipe some more sweat off my forehead.
Door clicks, and you feel it will open if you push on the door.
That I do.
And it leads into a chamber. Before you is quite a sight. A 10-foot-tall spindle of grey stone hovers upright and rotates slowly inside this circular chamber. All around it, the surfaces of the room's walls are cracked, as though some terrible energy burst here once and has permanently scarred the walls. All around this spindle are desks and chairs and shelving units and other strange items, but they've all been thrown to the side. It looks quite a mess in here.
Is there anything that seems to be a magical focus in here?
You would argue, just on basic insight, that probably the gigantic twirling spindle
itself. Well, a bit attentively, I start going in towards that thing.
And you do so. And you get closer to this thing, and your eye begins to itch a little more, and you begin to feel a sweat again.
What's this? Why is it moving? I try to get an idea of what this is.
You have no idea. Absolutely none. It looks just like a fancy rock, but there is something about it that is quite impressive, but you have no point of reference on what this is.
No. I start looking through the desks and notes and things around.
Most of it is gone, turning to dust in your hands immediately. There is only one bit of paper that seems to have a few words on it. Again, it translates for you. Why did it happen? Why did it happen? Containment breached. Must find a... Just stops.
So this is something powerful that needed to be contained, I say to myself. Where are the others at this point?
Vellynne has poked her head through this doorway and is saying, "What on earth are you doing? Get out of there!"
Any idea what this thing is?
Roman, you notice that Vellynne's gone over and Roshik has entered a very strange room with a very strange, ominous-looking thing in it.
I'm just trying to observe what is happening and ready to move if any threats should appear, but it seems like Roshik and Vellynne are busy exploring here, and I will let them do that. I cannot understand any of the language here anyways.
I have absolutely no idea what that is, but it looks like we shouldn't be touching it, just saying. It looks suspicious to me. Look at the walls.
Yes, and looks like some sort of outburst of energy has come from it somehow. This is supposedly some sort of containment chamber.
Well, it doesn't look like it works very well anymore, judging by those cracks in the walls. There's definitely... She sort of does a little spell to herself and frowns. There's definitely something here, but I have absolutely no idea what this thing is. I step away. Consider where it is. It's literally right next to the city's greatest wizards' council hall. It's either very dangerous or very powerful, and I have no idea what you would do with it. It's not the Mythalar, if you're wondering.
No. I always envisioned the Mythalar as something crystal glowing like. Alright, I shrug, not being able to make anything out of this, and with hardly any hints about anything, except that something went wrong. I then go out to the others.
You hear a little whisper in the back of your mind as you are leaving Roshik. Get away from it. Disgusting. Don't touch it.
And that makes me cast another glance at it. I wonder if it has anything to do with the infection.
I don't care. Get away from it. You're here to entertain me, not dwell around disgusting things like that, my little Roshik. Get away from it now.
And I smile to myself and close the door again.
The voice fades. Vellynne looks around and humps a little. Well, I'm not sure what to do. What was that? Fascinating. If only I had time to make some notes, but we don't have much time, I don't think. I don't know.
Yes. Well, my curiosity is struck too. Well, what are you waiting for, old man? Go sit in a chair.
Alright, I can do that. So I move towards the illusionist chair and I sit down in it.
You sit down in this chair, and nothing happens, other than some of the stars in front of you beginning to move a little.
I wonder if we're supposed to do something else.
Well, forgive me, but you're not a wizard. That might be it.
Could be.
Vellynne begins moving towards the chair that has the necromancer symbol on it, and begins starting to sit in it. But Roman, she goes to sit, again, those stars. Very interesting. Do you look at all at this field of stars? Neither of you have really investigated, but when you look at it just a little closely, it is fascinating. Or do you not bother?
I suppose my eyes are drawn to it. And seeing as I'm sitting in this chair waiting, yes, my eyes are drawn to it, yes.
Roshik, you notice that Roman is starting to look at this great thing in the center of the room. What do? You didn't look at it, and you think Vellynne is about to sit in a chair and something might happen. What do you do?
Yeah, no, I just assumed at first that it was swiveling, magnificent decoration of the chamber. But maybe there is something to it. I look up while we wait and see what I can discern from it.
Vellynne sits in her chair, which begins to glow ever so slightly, and just behind these 8 chairs you start to see a little portal begin to appear. But both of you are looking instead at the starfield. It's incredible. Planets, stars. You're not really familiar with these sort of things, but you think this must be the night sky, but what are all these different things in it? And then both of you at the same time just look at this little dark point. A little dark point deep in space. Please roll me an intelligence saving throw.
9.
8.
Roman, you look into this darkness. It begins to grow larger for just a moment, but then it gets small again, as you notice that door appearing, and you're not quite sure what just happened. You'll probably ignore it. But for a moment, deep down, you remembered how you felt below, in the ice caverns. You felt, once again, something was watching you, and it lives in the sky. Roshik, you too saw this strange little black spot, and you looked at it as well. You wanted to say a joke of some kind, but the words don't quite escape your mouth, because once again, you suddenly get this feeling that something is looking at you from far, far away, and this time there is no ice to protect you. Both of you will not think on this in a few more moments, but from now on, you cannot look at the sky without worrying that something is looking back. Add that as a flaw to both your characters, please. And you are snapped out of your thoughts by a magical portal suddenly appearing. Vellynne remarks loudly, "You two stop gawking at whatever that is in the middle and look, a door!"
Oh, yes. That's it. And I get up and I begin moving towards it. Come on.
As the door appears? Well, does that mean we're meant to walk through? I understood it from the other note that he would appear himself.
Well, I don't know. We can sit here and wait, or go through the door now.
Go through the door then, I say.
She charges forward quite bravely all of a sudden, and disappears beyond the portal.
I follow her.
Me too.
You emerge in another chamber. Behind you is the glowing portal that stays static for now, it seems. This large chamber has lain undisturbed for centuries, you feel. There is dust everywhere. All around you are tables covered with wizardly paraphernalia. Staircases to the east and west descend to the lower part of the room, where a sunken library is situated in a 20-foot wide, 10-foot deep circular pit. A ladder running along a circular track inside this hole allows easy access to the many books and scrolls on the shelves. Before you, it seems, is a great desk, and beyond that, a very large chair, again covered in dust. And as you are taking in all this, a skull floats up from the chair. The skull has strange green glowing eyes, and all around it you suddenly notice are symbols of the 8 schools of magic, but it's almost like an illusion of some kind. It's like they're a wisp of smoke appearing around the head of this being and then disappearing and appearing again. What do?
I look to Vellynne.
Vellynne looks to you, frozen, not daring to move.
I look about the library, or whatever it is. Is this in better shape, this place?
It is slightly neater, but still things are on the ground and covered in dust.
Well, I look at the skull and I say, Irelathius, I assume?
The skull doesn't move, but a voice begins to speak in your head. The voice doesn't make any sense at first, and then you hear a little chime from Professor Scant, saying, "Adjusting translation." And then the words begin to sound like common in all your heads at once. Who are you?
We are the commission sent here to help with the restoration of your city. Your guide, Everlast, was kind enough to lead us up here.
Restoration?
Yes, indeed.
When and where dost thou hail?
Where we are, I look at the other ones. Do you know any other floating towns around there?
I suppose maybe, Afalar? Say Afalar.
Athalar.
The skull just slowly turns. Roman, would you like to roll a religion or arcana check?
Certainly. I roll 15 on religion.
She said lich. This is not a lich, though. A lich, after all, is something that some people want to become. Not pleasant, but to them it's pleasant, but this is not a lich, no. Could this be a demi-lich? A lich starved of its powers, starved of its soul energy. It is no longer as capable of the great magics of a lich, but in some ways it is significantly more dangerous. Normally the minds are completely lost, you've heard stories, or if they do still have something there, it is very fragile. Necromantic energies, though, run through them. They are literally only still existing because of pure necromancy, and this necromancy is some of the most dangerous in existence. You must be very careful. This could go very badly, and you are not sure you are equipped to deal with it. Unless you strike immediately.
And I look to Roshik and to Vellynne, and I just nod. I go, "We need to act now."
Vellynne looks at you just really nervous, the most nervous you've ever seen.
And me, I'm looking at you confused, as in what's that supposed to mean?
So as I understand it as like we need to if the only way to take this out is to attack before it has time to power up.
Roman, if you are to have any chance, then yes, you would need to attack immediately, and even that is greatly risky. You've heard stories of these things giving even the greatest paladins of Lathander a great challenge. Of course, it also is currently not attacking you, so there is that as well.
Yes. I don't know, perhaps there is a way to avoid that. I would very much like to avoid fighting this thing. I just stand down and I wait to see what happens.
The skull tilts its head and begins floating around you all. Quite eerie, really. It then hovers near you, Roshik. Why?
The city has crashed, and we would like to help by making sure the Mythalar is in all right shape.
The Mythalar?
Yes. Where can we find it?
Below. Need key.
Good. Where is the key?
My desk. Mythalar. Why so long? The skull starts swirling around you a little faster.
I start moving towards the desk. Oh. News travels slowly these days, and we couldn't find the crashed location of the city.
In the glacier.
Yes, it was well hidden, wasn't it now?
We crashed. I tried.
You did a fine job. Still, a few people survived, and some of them, albeit in under a condition, are still around.
Finally.
Yes.
Would you roll me a persuasion check?
7.
The skull floats around a little, but then it turns its attention to you, Roman. It moves towards you, its great green eyes focused on you. You can feel unnatural energy pulsing from this thing. It almost makes you ill. What is it wearing on its neck?
It is just jewelry.
Jewelry. I sense something. Why do I sense this? It swirls around, a little agitated. Roshik, what do? You think it was going along with what you said, but then it got distracted.
I try to continue the track that I'm on, and trying to look through the desk for the key, and I think I would rather use deception for any further rolls.
Very well. What do you do that is deceptive?
I suppose the whole lie of us coming from the other city, and saying that we're part of a restoration crew that needs to check on the Mythalar.
Well, very well. In that case, continue, but feel free to up the lie a little, and it will indeed be a deception rather than persuasion.
Yes, indeed. We understand that the city seems to be in a critical condition. It's pretty badly off, and we need to attend to this with utmost haste, or it risks further destruction upon it.
Roll me a deception check.
24. And I sweat and I seem stressed.
The skull turns to face you again, Roshik, and it's at this point, Roman, you notice on the walls of this chamber, 2 strange green swords suddenly start floating in the air, crackling with a strange energy. But the swords stay where they are, as the skull remarks, I must prepare the outer beacons, yes?
That would be advisable.
Yes. And the skull begins to move. A doorway in the middle of the air opens. The swords and this skull go through it, and then the doorway closes. As soon as the doorway closes, Vellynne springs into action. My goodness, well done, well done! Oh my goodness, I think it bought it! Quickly, we have no idea how much time we have. Let's see what we've got here. Quick, quick!
I start feverishly looking through the desk drawers.
Roman, what do you do? It seems dangerous past, but you have no idea how long.
I breathe out. Oh, Lathander, thank you. And I move up to the desk as well, trying to help Roshik in finding what we're looking for.
As I do, I say under my breath, your book, would it be in here, Vellynne?
As you say that, Vellynne has already found something. It seemed to be on the centre of the table all along, a very large spell tome. She looks at it carefully, picks it up, and then just starts leafing through it. This is it. I found it. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. By the gods, we actually got it.
Shh, quiet now. I try to dampen her excitement as I look through. Try to find this key to the lower levels.
You find it. You open a drawer and see a large silver key attached to a chain.
There. This is for our price.
Roman, as you are noticing this, you also notice two things. There is mounted just above the desk a shield. It glows with beautiful encrusted gems, and there is something about it that is quite enchanting. What do you do, Roman?
I'll move up to it, try to investigate what it is.
Again, a shield. Something about it is magical, you think?
This could come in handy, and I pick it up.
You do so. No traps are sprung, nothing happens. You simply are holding now this wonderful shield in your hands. You feel a familiar sensation. The sensation one often feels with magical items. If you just take a little moment or two to attune, you think, this is a shield, that it does something. You're not sure what yet, though.
No, I will try and attune to it.
You begin trying to attune to this shield. Normally this takes a lot of time, but for some reason this object seems very keen to be attuned to you. You're not sure why. You think it gives you some sort of resistance against spells and magic.
Oh, that will come in handy if we end up having to face that thing. I really hope we won't.
There is also, Roshik, as you reach for that key, and you notice Roman pulling down this very fancy-looking shield, a great staff sitting next to the chair as well.
I take out the key, and I reach out to touch this staff.
And you do so, and you feel power, great power, coming from this magical object. It requires attunement, you think. But you think if you were to attune to it, you have something very powerful indeed. You notice Vellynne look your direction and sigh, saying, oh, if that's what I think it is, I wish anyone else had it but you, but I suppose I can't stop you now. If you don't stop me with the book, it's mine.
You have your book, then. I try to read her, if that's an honest reaction, or if she's just trying to throw me off the scent.
You don't need to roll, because Vellynne's distaste of you is very clear. She doesn't want you having anything, but she doesn't think she can stop you either way, so she's trying to appease you.
Lucky me. I think to myself, well then, the lower levels. Do you see any other way there?
Not from here, but I think when we were in that ballroom, I think there might have been some stairs leading down. Anyway, let's hurry. I have what I need. I don't care what you two do now.
And are you planning to leave then?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I need time to think. This is all happening very quickly. Let's get out of this room at least.
Yes.
Before it comes back.
Yes, you should follow us to the Mythalar. We'll leave together. It's safer that way. Avarice is still out there, you know.
And Vellynne moves back through the portal quickly.
Right. I put the key in a bag and I start trying to feel the energies of this staff and see how I can communicate with it and use them for my own purposes as we move along.
Again, you feel this process would normally take some time, but you hear an amused chuckle somewhere behind you as a voice says, "Oh, well that's far more interesting. All right then, come on, be friends with him a little quicker for me, would you, my dear?" And the staff begins to reveal itself to you. It is a great staff of power, Roshik. It carries with it many spells and many abilities. It's going to take some time, you think, for you to work out what they are, but they are coming. This is incredible.
And I feel pleased at this. Perhaps I shan't have to fight a petty battle over a book after all.
Roman, what do? Roshik seems to be wielding this staff, but you have a shield, and Vellynne has gone through the exit.
I follow Vellynne. We have to get to the Mythalar. We have to finish what we came here to do.
Roshik?
Well, I go with him to leave the room.
And you exit the room, once again appearing in the great chamber you were in before. Except, of course, there is a slight difference now. Standing between the three of you and those 8 doors that were the exit is Avarice. Accompanying her are the 2 statues. This is a strange sight until you realize that the statues now are moving, quite animatedly. And of course, 2 or 3 more of the survivors, it seems, of whatever happened outside. She looks at you all, staring at Vellynne, staring at all 3 of you. Well, that was awfully rude of you, just running off and leaving poor old me to die.
I grunt with annoyance, being distracted from my newly won prize, not wanting to get into another battle of mouths. I just look at them.
We have things to do, places to be. You can go where we came from. I'm sure you'll find something interesting there.
I don't give a damn. You have it, don't you, Vellynne? The book. Vellynne just sort of withdraws and smirks. Yes, I do. You've lost Avarice. I have it. The priest is with me, and I have a feeling that Roshik doesn't really care about you or me, and he'll be quite happy with his staff of power. Avarice frowns. Damn it. He has the staff of power. Ah, that is most irritating. Well, we do seem to be a bit of an impasse. You two, I don't care about anything you want to do. I only want the book. I'm about to try and take it. You're going to try and stop me, aren't you? How disappointing.
Yes, we will have to stop you in that case, and you will die, and it will be very painful for you, and Lathander will not save your soul.
Of course not. I'm going straight to hell, you idiot.
Well then I hope you will enjoy eternal torment.
No, I won't be getting tormented, but it will be unsatisfactory to say the least. I need that book more than anything.
Well then, shall we? I say, and I lift up my shield and prepare to attack.
Last negotiation, I suppose, Roshik. All you have to do is clonk her on the head, give me the book, and then I leave. But instead, you'd rather we fight.
I look at them and what they're doing, feeling a bit encouraged that she too acknowledges this as such a powerful artifact. But it's not like I feel very torn about what side I'm supposed to be fighting on here. But if Roman is going to defend this one with her life, well, maybe we can batter this one enough and she'll yield or something. I suppose I'll have to begin with destroying these gargoyles or whatever they are. And I swing the staff and I get ready for combat.
Roman, you begin charging up your spells, and Roshik, you too. Vellynne smirks, stepping behind you a little. Avarice rolls her eyes, her own hands beginning to glow with magic. The 2 gargoyles ready themselves, stepping back, and the few other individuals grunt and bare their weapons. And it's at this point that I'd like you both to roll a perception check.
12.
8.
Roman, you don't notice anything. You're ready. Finally, you will once again deliver justice to this tool of an archdevil. Save the 10 towns? Nonsense. You save the 10 towns, not an archdevil. But Roshik, you just, oddly, at this moment, feel something behind you. It's distracting, considering you think you're just about to get engaged in a deadly battle. What do?
I shift and stand against the wall and try and get an idea what's coming.
The double doors behind you that were locked swing open. As they swing open, you are greeted to a magnificent view of the city of Yithrin. You are at its highest point, and this balcony seems to overlook the entire city. And you see a very strange sight. A great cold wind begins to blow into this chamber, the magical lights flickering a little as it does. And you swear, far at the very end of the great icy chamber that you came into, that is, the city of Yithrin, at that entranceway, you see a cold light beginning to shine, and something beginning to come down, almost like shining from moonlight, even though there is no way moonlight could reach this place, and a giant shape begins to form.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden, for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The music was created by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Ugathanye, Wordclock, and Metatron Omega, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check them out at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more music for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, David Hagberg, Camilla, and Ludwig Manford for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. May Lathander protect you and fill the world with light.